So this story breaks my heart a little bit because I, I want people to be true to themselves, right? At the same time, I recognize that people have plastic surgery and they don't feel any, shame about it. And so it's not on me to put that on people who are getting it. Now, if you watch the show for a while, you've heard me say 1,000 times, my rule is 2 plastic surgeries make sense, right? I haven't had any, but I get it. I get it. If you're self-conscious about it, you got big ears and you want to pin them back or whatever, nobody's going to go ballistic over that, right? But if you overdo it...
Look, I had a nose I didn't like, and I got that fixed.
But yeah, she does look better, and if that makes her feel better, but there's got to be a bounds of reason to that.
I've never talked about it before because, quite frankly, that was a personal decision that I absolutely loved. And also, I didn't want to promote the idea that if someone has a big nose, they're not beautiful. For me, I didn't like it because I got older, I lost the baby fat in my face, it looked bigger, and I was like, I don't know, I can fix it if I want to, so why not? Yeah. So I did it, and I was really happy with that decision.
It's a good example because who are you, right? I can't even, I don't know who you are anymore, right? So that's not those are not the same people. Mm-hmm. So you can say inside I'm the same, but okay, I mean, look, to me, the skin color, maybe it's the pictures that make it as stark as it looks. Yeah, she happens to be blonde for now. She'll change her hair color later, et cetera. But look at the nose, right? Mm-hmm. And so people get nose jobs. We've talked about that on the show, et cetera, right? But are you does it make a difference if you're trying to get a quote-unquote whiter nose? I don't know. Am I judging too much if I talk about that? I don't know. But I do know this. Okay, overall macro picture. Couple of things.
And the doctor said, look, we're going to pin your ears back, but as soon as we do, all of a sudden your nose is going to stand out and you have kind of a big nose and it's crooked, right?
So researchers actually grew a nose and they're going to take that nose and implant it where nose actually belongs.
I'm just concerned for people when they overdo it.
No, my nose represents who I am and I'm not going to change it. But deep down inside, I was still self-conscious and I just didn't like the way it looked, right? And then eventually I decided to do what I've always wanted to do, and I got the nose job.
Which took 6 hours and cost $25,000. Then obviously it wasn't successful.
Nose got so damaged they couldn't even rebuild it. He didn't have enough cartilage. But the way that these researchers built a new nose is they used tissue expanders that are placed under the patient's forehead. Then doctors fashion the rough shape of a nose from supports, which are planted with cartilage tissue harvested from the patient's ribs.
So I know why it happened, but it still breaks my heart.
I know. Okay, so whenever we cover stories like this, of course I get extremely torn, right? Yes, I think there should be some limit on the amount of plastic surgery you get because eventually you're going to do too much and you're not going to look normal. Forget about not looking like yourself. You're just not going to look normal anymore, right?
It's a good example because who are you, right? I can't even, I don't know who you are anymore, right? So that's not those are not the same people.
But also at the same time, I know from personal experience, what I did to my face was to make my nose look more quote unquote white. Right? Armenians are white, they're Caucasians, but I had a very Armenian nose. And I didn't like it. I didn't feel comfortable looking at myself in the mirror. I didn't feel comfortable on the show. I didn't like my profile. And so it was something that I struggled with ever since I was a kid, right? And so I feel uncomfortable, criticizing someone else who changes his or her features to look more quote unquote white.
So I know why it happened, but it still breaks my heart.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
That's amazing.
That looks photoshopped.
It does, but it's not. Wow.
But it's not. It's real. So they used artificial supports, and then they used the artificial supports to insert cartilage cells. The cartilage cells then, I guess, take over on the supports, and then the flesh grows over and through. Yeah. And what's brilliant about this is also that the blood vessels grow through. And so they wait until it's actually grown through enough and is shot through with blood vessels so that it has its own blood supply and will survive when it's transplanted